Eraserhead's AO3, or A Guide on How Not to Seduce Your Best Friend, written by nomumomo, read by Yours Pranks. This is your reminder that this series has suggestive content. On the YouTube video, it'll be marked using the chapters function. If you'd like to not listen to those parts, I would recommend checking those out. Chapter 4. Oh my god, they were. Summary, in which Shouta gets another idea. It might even be a good one. Hisashi was back to his cheerful, affectionate self before the day was over. Shouta, on the other hand, remained annoyed with himself. He sat in the teacher's lounge during his free period, alone for once, and brooded. What had he been thinking? Going to Hisashi wounded was a stupid idea. One that upset the poor man, and could have gotten Shouta into real medical trouble. Plus, he knew he wouldn't be able to look Recovery Girl in the eye again for at least a decade. He picked up his phone and unlocked it. He needed a distraction. He selected one of his many open browser tabs and started reading.
By the power vested in me by the United States of Smash, I now pronounce you husband and husband.
All Might boomed. Mike pulled Eraser into a kiss, as all the guests cheered. Shouta was just allowing himself a little grin when the door to the lounge opened and Hisashi walked in. He almost dropped his phone. He managed to catch it and shoved it deep in his pockets. He said, hoping his face wasn't as red as it felt.
Hey,
Hisashi said.
How's that wound feeling?
Shouta flinched at the reminder of his foolishness.
Fine. It's basically gone since I saw Recovery Girl.
Sweet!
But don't do that to me again, okay? I'm not sure my heart can take it.
Hisashi sat down next to him. Shouta had to look away when he realized that he was picturing Hisashi in a tux.
I won't. Don't worry about that. I don't know what I was thinking.
No worries, my man. It's all in the past. Want to get some pizza and grade together tonight? The evening passed like any other. The routine of getting takeout and grading at Hisashi's place was well established, and the blonde really did seem to be over the fence of the previous night. They both changed into comfortable clothes and graded at the table while they ate greasy pizza. Hisashi had turned on the radio. He worked better with music on, and Shouta didn't find it too distracting, if the volume was low. Somehow, Hisashi always knew to put the volume at just the right level, so they were both happy. Shouta worked through his stack of essays. He noticed that some of the students' vocabulary was interesting, to say the least. When Ashido mentioned Eraser's infamous dry orb, he groaned aloud. He didn't want to think too hard about what the kids were reading. He was almost done with his grading when a commentary had to go and refer to Endeavor as a crimsonette.
What are you giggling about over there, Sho?
Hisashi asked. Shouta coughed.
Just some unique word choices here.
Hisashi grabbed Kaminari's essay before Shouta could stop him. He barked out a surprised laugh.
Ha! You wouldn't know this? Well, that's totally how fanfiction writers write. Yeah, I had no idea.
Hey! Hisashi said, a devious grin creeping across his face.
Do you think they're still reading Eraserhead romance?
Thankfully, Hisashi seemed to take Shota's violent blush as a reaction to his question, and not as a reaction to the reminder of just how much Eraserhead romance Shouta himself had been reading.
Sorry. I know that's a sore spot for you.
He dropped the topic, and they both got back to their work. There was a lot of grading to finish. When they were both done, it was late.
What do you think, Sho? It's pretty late. You know you're welcome to stay over if you're too tired to go home.
Home? It struck Shouta then that this, sitting at Hisashi's table, the music playing low and the kitchen light warm, working and laughing beside his best friend, this felt more like home to him than his empty apartment ever had.
You know, we'd save a lot on rent if we just lived together,
said Eraser.
Good idea, Mike replied. We can save even more if we only buy one bed. And we can shower together to save on water.
Yeah, Mike said. Wow, we sure are the smartest pair of best friends there ever was.
Sure are,
agreed Eraser.
Shouta, did you hear me? I asked if you... My lease is almost up.
Hisashi tilted his head in confusion.
Okay, are you worried that you won't be able to renew it? Because I know a few good real estate agents. We can find you a new place quickly if you need it. I can call them first thing tomorrow. I was thinking... He chose his words carefully. No use in backing out now. Rent isn't cheap, and I barely spend any time at my place as it is. You're not gonna try to live in your agency again, are you? Or in that empty classroom? I know you're a minimalist and all, but really, no grown man should sleep in a sleeping bag every night or eat only jelly packets. And you really do need to own more than 2 shirts. Hisashi was looking at him with such earnest concern. Shouta felt that familiar warmth blossom in his chest, and almost forgot that he was trying to play it cool. He finally managed to tear his gaze away from his best friends and looked down at his grading. I was thinking that I could move in with you. Shouta could practically hear Hisashi's jaw drop. I'm here most evenings anyway, Shouta soldiered on, and spend the night half the time. I think more of my stuff is here than at my own place. He sincerely hoped that Hisashi didn't make the connection between his recent discovery of fanfiction and his new desire to move in together. If Shouta was being honest, he had thought about moving in with Hisashi since before they'd even graduated from UA. He was just never brave enough to ask. Now, he apparently had roommates to lovers on the brain. The words sprang to his lips before his rational mind could stop them. When he chanced to look up, Hisashi was just staring at him. Shouta started to get nervous. Look, I'm just saying that it's logical. Why pay tens of thousands of yen a month for something I barely use? But it was just an idea. I know you need your space, and you know what? Never mind. It was a dumb idea. Shouta? Hisashi jumped up and threw his arms around his friend. That's an awesome idea! I love it! You do? Yeah! I've thought about it before, but I didn't think you'd want to. I'm kind of, he smiled sheepishly. Not the quietest roomie. Shouta felt a weight release from his chest. I'm well aware of how loud you are, he said dryly, hiding a smirk. Oh my god, you can have the office. I barely use it anyway. Hisashi jumped up and started pacing, a bounce in his step. You don't really have any stuff, so moving in will be easy. Oh, if we can get a cat! With both of us, one or the other will be home enough that we can take care of it. Now Shouta couldn't hide his grin. If we get a cat, you're never gonna be able to get rid of me. That's the point, silly. Shouta spent the night sleeping on his futon laid out in Hisashi's spare room. The room had been designated as an office, but Hisashi never used it that way, choosing instead to do his work at the kitchen table or the kotatsu. Despite the late hour, Hisashi had been excited enough to shove his rarely used desk into a corner and empty the closet of the random items that accumulated there, declaring that the room now officially belonged to Shouta. This was going much better than expected. Shouta moved in the following weekend. Hisashi insisted on helping him, despite the fact that Shouta's belongings literally fit into only 3 boxes. Hisashi officially added him to his own lease, and they worked out how to split the rent. 50-50. No! This place is fancier than your last one, and you didn't pick it out! You should pay less. Maybe 70-30? 50-50. Final offer. Life changed less than Shouta had expected it to. His initial argument, that they practically lived together anyway, was actually true. So things weren't, at least superficially, much different between the two of them. But now, Shouta got to see Hisashi not only at school every day, and in the evenings when they'd grade together, and on the weekends when they'd watch movies together, but also every morning, when Hisashi would get up, with painfully cute bedhead, and stumble sleepily to their shared bathroom, and at every bedtime, when Hisashi would call out, "Good night, Shouta!" before turning his lights out and going to sleep. It was nice. Shouta had never once in his life felt that he had enough time with Hisashi. Now he knew for a fact that 25 hours a day wouldn't be enough. One concrete benefit of living with Hisashi was that, while he had prepared much of Shota's food before, anyway, and he did so even more now Shouta could start to pay him back by doing their shopping. He was a ruthlessly efficient shopper, in contrast to Hisashi, and by washing the dishes. In fact, he took over all of the housework, other than cooking. Hisashi objected when he first noticed, but Shouta insisted. Hisashi had done so much to take care of Shouta over the years, and he was so busy with his 3 jobs. If something as simple as running a vacuum or scrubbing a toilet could make his best friend's life easier, of course Shouta was going to do it. The cherry on top was that Hisashi made good on his promise to get a cat.
It was a rescue that they picked out together from the shelter. An old, soft gray cat that had lost one of her ears and the tip of her tail to frostbite. She was a sweet thing despite her rough life. They named her Mochi, and together they spoiled her rotten. So, the domestic bliss was real. Hisashi certainly seemed happy with the situation, which was more than Shouta had let himself hope for. Some days, he could even, almost, pretend that they were a real couple. But, on other days, his new closeness to Hisashi only served to remind him of all that he couldn't have. Today was apparently going to be one of those days. Shouta was walking down the hall, distracted on his phone as he tried to organize his many fake bookmarks. He was just passing the bathroom door when it opened. A hot swell of steam, carrying the fruity scent of shampoo, was his split-second warning before he nearly collided with Hisashi. They each stopped just short of crashing to the other. Hisashi was flushed from the hot shower, his lean body on display, with only a small towel tied around his hips. Captain Mike emerged from the water, white shirt clinging to his chest, dripping hair, glimmering like beaten gold in the hot afternoon sun. A single droplet of water fell from his wet hair. Shouta's gaze followed as it traced a path down his bare chest. First made Eraserhead it was only a man with needs. He met Hisashi's eyes, greener and wider without his glasses. Hisashi blinked, but didn't look away. Eraser pulled the blonde into his strong arms, his voice husky when he said, It was enough to break the spell. Hisashi took half a step back. "The shower's all yours, buddy," he said, voice pitched a little strangely. He rushed off to his room before Shouta could manage a reply. Shouta decided that, you know what, he did need a shower. A cold one. Carrying the fruit. Yeah, there are a bunch of fruits here right now, for sure. I love these silly little billies. They're so silly. I love them so much. I hope you're enjoying this podfic. And of course, I will see you when I do. Toodaloo!